Absolutely.
Okay. All my sons were put in martial arts and boxing because I myself did those things. My children are taught never, ever to initiate physical contact. I am not initiating physical contact when you get it. You are. I tell my kids, I don't pick the place where you get your ass whooped. You do. If you act a fool right here in Ralph's, then guess what? I'm going to rope off aisle 9 and sell tickets for people to watch me whoop your ass. Now, what it sounds like to me today is everybody is discussing all the wrong ways to spank children. All the wrong ages, all the wrong times, all the wrong energies, and all of you are right about that. Where you are wrong is in saying that spankings are ineffective. Saying spankings are ineffective is like saying a Snicker is ineffective at making me full. You wrong. It's ineffective. It may not be what I should put my diet around. No, but is it effective? Absolutely, absolutely.
It'll get you through.
It'll get you through. And I tell you something.
I do agree with you in that. And what I was saying is that you need to look at the long term versus the short term. One of the effects of spanking is immediate compliance. Immediately, it will get you what you want. However,
long term,
in many cases, there can be inadvertent consequences as a result.
So you're saying spanking, Jessica, in a nutshell, because it's radio, we can't live on filibusters. You're saying, in a nutshell, spanking has the effect of parental Alzheimer's. It's the discipline of Alzheimer's, or it's an Alzheimer type discipline. The short-term effects is you get what you want, but the long-term effects is that kid is going to remember, that kid's going to resent, that kid's going to have issues or angers. That's what she's saying.
Well, I can't agree with that part, because you're talking about spankings put the wrong way. Spankings done the wrong way. My grandmama used to tear my ass up, and I love that woman. I wish she was still here.
Jessica, where can they find you? What's your website? I want to send people to your website. I want people to investigate you and connect with you. Where can they find you?
And she fine.
My website is toxic2exotic.com.
Toxic2exotic.com.
What does that have to do with behavioral stuff?
Yeah, that was kind of sexy, little website. What we got going here?
That's her night job.
Speaking of that, Jessica, I want to take my hat off to you for, oh my God, achieving your psychology degrees, because it must have been harder for you because of how attractive you are. You have more distractions. I say that ugly people always do better in life because they don't have nobody to distract them.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for reaching out, and we'd love to have you back soon.
I got a solution I want to throw in the mix.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Okay, I think this. You see it in all these old movies about education. Something up until the 50s they used to do with kids is they would say, go stand in the corner. And I think there's a certain wisdom to that, because you break the engagement, because as long as it's eye to eye, it can escalate. But go stand in the corner. I don't know what the equivalent would be, but it lets things calm down. It lets that kid have their imagination. Oh my God, what's going to happen after that? You let their imagination whoop them. And then after you both calm down, you might be able to say, do you know why I sent you into the corner? Because what you really want them to understand is why they are in the corner, and then you teach them, and then you give them a consequence or a punishment. Now, you do understand that we're going to have to take something away to make this lesson stick. But that was around for decades. Go stand in the corner. They used to do that. I don't know if they do that still in school, but I think there's some wisdom in that.
You know what? That's a great point. Do you think, check this question out, everybody. Do you think gang violence would be as high? Do you think the dropout rate would be as high? Do you think Columbine would have happened? Do you think all of this ratchet culture that's happening in our community, do you think any of that would be in play if teachers were still allowed to spank ass at school?
I think it still would.
855-878-4652. We have another doctor on the line here. I mean, they just keep coming in. But
doctors backed up like LAX, man.
You feel me?
Trying to land. Man.
Hey, this show is important. We want to see if people are beating the shit out of the kids or if they're raising them with a firm hand. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have Dr. Frank Lavaccio on the phone right now. Frank?
Yeah, that was pretty close. It's Bavacqua.
Bavacqua?
Yeah.
Well, my producer spelled your name wrong, Baby Teen Wolf. But he's all right. He's only 25. He may very well be in need of a spanking himself.
But he may like it.
Wow. And the doc. Okay, here we go. Frank, Talk to us about, the thin line that separates disciplining and abuse. When is it over the line? Go deeper.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that any physical aggression can be considered abuse at all. And I think you just raised a great point about your producer. Oh, he made a mistake. Maybe he needs a whooping. That doesn't actually happen in life. The job of parenting is to prepare kids for life, and the way we do that is to teach them natural consequences. And in your job, if you mess up, you don't get beat, you get fired.
You've never been arrested, huh?
I'm sorry?
You've never been arrested, huh?
I have not.
Okay, keep going.
And that's the Jeff Brown side,
Yeah.
just to let you know that there's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
Finish, Dr. Frank.
You ain't never had a police car flip a U-turn because you drive a BMW M5 and you black. You ain't never had that, have you? I have, but go ahead.
Who'd you steal from?
But I think the same. I think the same principle can apply in terms of like speeding tickets. A speeding ticket is a form of punishment. But if you know where the speed traps are, you know just to slow down where the speed traps are. That doesn't make you a better driver overall.
So what Jeff is saying is, it is better to get your ass beat at home and then to get your ass beat in life.
Yeah, switching's better than nightsticks.
He said a switch is better than a nightstick, especially for the black experience.
Yeah, see, that's
We need solutions that
Could a black
make
doctor
sense.
call in, please? I need a black male doctor. Okay.
No, you have the doctors you have, and you'll respect Dr. Bavacho. How do I say it again?
Bavacqua.
Bavacqua.
I don't disrespect what you're saying, but it sounds like you are a French chef trying to school me on how to make an enchilada, and I can't pretend. I can't nod my head and sit here when you say that a physical consequence does not follow misbehaving socially.
Let me do this. Dr. Phil said something about defining what your child's currency is. Woo. In other words, what matters to the kid can be used as a disciplinary tool, right? Now, and Dr. Frank, you can build with me on this here. What I find is when certain parents parent their children and use these tools, say, like for instance, I told my son's mother, I said, you cannot incentivize time with the boy's family, right? So you can incentivize, say, the video game. If you that's your currency, that video game. You don't get to play that video game unless I see this grade improve, or unless I see but don't say you don't go get to see your dad or your brothers and sisters if you don't do this work.
That's horrible.
Do you understand what I mean? So let's go into that. Let's define what the kid's currency is so we can give tips on better parenting.
If you don't pay your parking ticket, I'm going to take your house. That's wrong.
We're about to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up. We love Dr. Frank. Stay on. We'll be back with you in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the ZWMS Morning Show has returned, and it's final thought time. Not enough time. We're going to do another one of these.
That's a great idea.
Really, really soon, a part 2. I think it's important. Let me just say this. You can't beat or whoop the flaws you see in yourself out of your children. I think a lot of times parents see something in their child, and in their way, they're trying to whoop them in the right direction so they won't do what they did. They see that in the kid. A lot of times that happens, and you can't whoop your flaws out of your children. At the end of the day,
That's good.
You can't do that. And what I see from the majority of black parenting, not all, because there's some really great parents out there, really. And there's no absolutes in any situation. So this isn't to all of the great parents out there. But I feel sometimes that black parenting centers on violence and wisdom. If you don't take heed to my insight or wisdom, you're going to feel a certain level of violence from me. I've been seeing it my whole life. When my mother told my sister to go outside and pick 3 of the sturdiest, longest, whippiest switches and braid them together. Right? Braid those switches together for that ass. Now, did it change who I was? Not really. I can be honest. I was always a free thinker. I was always one who wanted to think outside the box. You could say I was mannish and ornery or whatever. But what I've learned from that entire situation was the younger your kids are, the more control you're in. You're a dictator. You dictate what they eat when they go to bed, what they do, what they read, all of that. But as they get older and become more centered in the identity of what it means to be themselves, you have to relinquish being the dictator and become the mentor. The one thing that I am so pleased about my children is that they respect me. Like I can sense I don't want to disappoint my dad.
Absolutely.
Right? I can sense that in my kids. Like, don't tell dad about this D. That's what my daughter did. You know, she'll do things like, Mom, could you sign this on her way to school? And Mom was like, well, what is this? Oh, you got a C minus. Well, why? You just was with your dad. Why didn't you? Right? Because there's a certain, I don't want to feel his disappointment. To me, that lets me know I'm doing the right thing. You understand? With my oldest son, you're about to pick a college, right? You're about to choose a college. You can't choose a college the way you choose a cell phone, right? You can't choose a college the way you choose tennis shoes. So now, me mentoring him, he's looking at the college different. How does it fit me? How do I fit into that environment? I'm like when I told him when he was going to high school, I said, this high school is a society, a culture of its own. And when you get here, you have to fight to remain you inside this society. That's how you got to do in the real world. So if you're not a mentor and you're just a dictator, you're going to lose the file and rank of your soldiers, which are your children. At some point, they're going to be like, I don't want to fight for you no more. I don't want to respect you because there's nothing behind your violence but anger, but frustration. Does that mean don't whoop your kids? No, it means you have to find a balance in everything. Most people don't have that balance, especially if you coming home and you just frustrated because the world took a huge crap on you. You tend to crap on that which you have control over. Typically, that's your kids, right? We've got to learn how to challenge ourselves in a different way. We can't just whoop and expect them to change. They're not going to change. They're going to take that ass beating and use it for what it is. I felt your frustration. I felt your anger. I felt your pistivity at the world, at me. So now I'm going to use that as a means to take my pistivity out on the world too. We've got to teach our kids different. If your philosophy is weak, so will your spanking. Because at some point, that kid is going to outgrow the whooping. At some point, he'll be like, this shit don't hurt no more. Fuck what you talking about. I'm out. Get your licks in now. Kumo D told me a great story once. Kumo D was like, he got to the point where his mother was just whooping him. And then he got to the point where it was like, shit don't hurt no more. I could beat your ass. That's what he said to his mom. And trashed the house and left. Because he could do that. At some point, your philosophy has got to take over. Most people don't know how that works. I want to say thank you to all of these doctors who are on the show or scheduled to be on the show. Dr. Nancy Buck. We're going to bring this show back. Dr. Dean Tong. He was on Dr. Phil, and he had great points. We're going to do a part 2, and when we do, we're going to bring in all of these specialists so that they can weigh in, because parenting, whether you know it or not, is an intimate relationship. Most people don't understand that. You just obey, be obedient, do what I say. No. That's an intimate relationship. And if you use violence as your key, molder, that's what you're molding. A violent person. So what mornings? You know what we do. It's crazy here at T Radio V. That's Radio NTV. We're here every Monday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You got to reach out to us. Dr. Goulston, where can they find you? Social media.
Heartfelt Leadership. Heartfeltleadership.com.
Heartfeltleadership.com.
Hotfelt.
Hot foot. heartfeltleadership.com.
Jeff Brown at GB Funny Style is my Twitter. Jeff Brown Comedian on Facebook. Follow me. I got a bunch of dates coming up.
Ladies and gentlemen, at Zoe Williams on Twitter, at Mr. Zoe What on Instagram, and all one word, The Zoe What Show on YouTube. Join our YouTube page and see old episodes. It's crazy. Listen, I had a ball. This show is incredible, but it isn't over. Oh, and don't forget, support blackmastery.com. Maybe that'll help you change your parenting style. Get at us. We'll be back next week. Holla.